Hello, Year 5 and 6, and welcome to Friday's English lesson. We've looked at the characters and we've looked at describing the different characters in Running Wild so far. But today we are going to focus on one character in particular. We were introduced to him briefly yesterday, and his name is Mr. Anthony. I want you to think to yourself, what were your initial impressions of Mr. Anthony? Now today we are going to be looking at how we can describe Mr. Anthony with two challenges. Our first challenge is, as I read the book, I want you to stop and pause and come back and answer these questions. You can, if we look here, create a mind map, draw a picture of Mr. Anthony and label him with the answers to the questions above. You can do this on your own piece of paper, or if you would like to, all you need to do is come here, edit it to have your name at the bottom. For example, Miss Fletcher, and then it will carry on. So, first question is, what does Mr. Anthony look like? How does Michael Morpurgo describe him? And what does he do for a job? Remember to come back and answer the questions and pause the presentation as and when you please. Challenge 2 is, can you write a short paragraph describing Mr. Anthony? You can choose to write in first or third person, and you can come back to this place and you can look at the examples that I have written myself. As you can see, it's only 4 to 5 sentences. So let's get back and let's get started. Dressed in an immaculate white suit, Mr. Anthony sat there in his chair, waiting for me at the top of the veranda steps, his dark glasses glinting in the sun. At his feet lay the skin of the tiger, my tiger, Una's tiger. There were 2 large hunting dogs, one on either side of him, eyeing me from the top of the steps. I'm just going to pause here, Year 5 and 6. And what I want you to think is, if you see this picture behind me, this is a picture of a deforestation area in Indonesia. This is where someone like Mr. Anthony might have come on in and have chopped all the trees down. His shanty town would be around here. And if you can imagine, there'd be cages on the bottom, smoke appearing, and his house would be on the top of the hills. Mr. Anthony waved his stick, and at once the guards let go of my arms. I looked around. There must have been hundreds of people standing there, hushed now to silence, watching and waiting. I saw Kaya outside his kitchen, wiping his hands on a cloth. Our eyes met for a moment, and I recognised the sympathy there. It reminded me that at least I had one friend in this place of horrors. That was something. It gave me hope. It gave me courage. So, my little monkey boy, Mr. Anthony began, pointing his stick at me. He was making sure he was talking loud enough for everyone to hear. You see, what I did with this tiger, and I know what I'm going to do with those orangutans, but I'm still trying to work out what I'm going to do with you. Maybe I'll let you go, give you a head start, and then set my dogs on you. How'd you like that? All I have to do is say the word and they'd hunt you down and tear you into little pieces. That'd be a whole lot of fun to watch. The crowd laughed at this, and I could see he liked that. He leaned forward. And if you can imagine a man leaning over Will, and how would that make Will feel? What does that show you about the character of Mr. Anthony? Where did you come from? Eh? How'd you get here? You got a mum and dad? Or are you just a little pommy bastard? He chuckled at that. You even got a name, monkey boy. I'd like to have a little pause here, Year 5 and 6. Now, the word pommy is a derogatory term that people in a certain country use for people who are from England or Scotland, Wales or Northern Ireland. It's from somebody who is from Australia. So it gives us a little bit of a clue, if we know that context of the word pommy, that maybe Mr. Anthony might be from somewhere like that. We'll have to keep on reading to see if that actually is a fact. You even got a name, monkey boy? I did not answer. Mr. Anthony was enjoying himself. This was a performance, a power game for the benefit of the crowd. This man was toying with me, showing me and reminding everyone there who the master was. But as Kyra had told me, Mr. Anthony was God here. I screwed myself up inside. I would be fearless. I would be strong. As fearless as a tiger. I would make my voice sound out strong. I glanced at the dead tiger, and suddenly there was no room anymore for fear. The anger raging inside me drove all that away. It was my anger that was speaking out, not my courage. I won't tell you my name, and I don't care what you do with me, I said. You can't do me any more harm than you've done the tiger, can you? And it was you, wasn't it? Everyone here does what you tell them. The hunters killed the orangutans. I saw them. They killed the tiger. But you're the real killer. Everyone here is afraid of you. But I'm not. The crowd were becoming unsettled. Clearly, many of them had understood enough of the tone of what I'd been saying to sense my defiance. Emboldened by this, I went on, in full flow now. Why do you do this? What for? Just for the fun of it? Is it? Mr. Anthony stood up. He took off his dark glasses, slowly, menacingly, and then tucked them very deliberately into the top pocket of his jacket. If you can imagine that, he's taking off his glasses slowly. He's deliberately putting them in his pocket, so he's very slow with his actions, year 5 and 6. Have a little think about that there. Can you add that to your questions or to your description within that Word document, or if you're just making notes? Make sure you now listen to the language that Michael Morpurgo uses. He used quite a few similes in this next piece. He seemed to me more and more like a snake in human form. From his slicked down hair to his shining shoes, everything was smooth and slithery. He even moved like a snake. As he walked slowly up and down the veranda glaring at me, I could feel his fury rising. I knew he was about to strike. I could feel the knot of terror growing in the pit of my stomach. I determined to try to keep it there, not to waver, but to stand tall and look this vile man in the eye and face him down. No matter what he said, no matter what he did. The little orangutans clung to me as tight as ever. I could feel their need. I knew how much they were relying on me now, and that helped to keep me strong. Quite a little firecracker, aren't we? I caught Mr. Anthony off guard, and that really booked me up. I could tell he was trying to laugh it off, but it was a poor attempt. Anyone could see that he was seething with fury. You're right, monkey boy. Everyone here does exactly what I tell them. And it's true. I killed the tiger, killed the orangutans, and I kidnapped those cutie-looking little orangutans you've got wrapped around you. I've killed dozens of tigers, kidnapped hundreds of little orangutans, and I'll tell you why, sunshine, shall I? With every word he spoke, he was becoming more worked up, more enraged. Money, monkey boy. Do you know how much to pay me in Dubai or California for a tiger skin like that? 10,000 US dollars. That's right, 10,000. And the Chinese, they pay a fortune for their insides, all their bits and pieces. Tiger medicine. They swear by it. The Chinese have lots of money, you know. Lots of money these days. Believe you me. As for those little orangutans of yours, I'll be selling every one of those blighters back in Jakarta. 5,000 US a piece, just like that. They buy them as pets for their kids, police officials, government officials, business people, anyone. I sell, they buy. It's what makes the world go round, sunshine. He brandished his stick. If you can imagine that, year 5, 6, he's brandished his stick. He's brought it out in an aggressive manner. You see that forest? You see it? And if you can imagine, he'd be pointing now to Will, to this wonderful, luscious green forest behind me. It's mine, he went on. I own everything in it. I own all the trees, every leaf on every one of them. I cut them down whenever I feel like it. Trust me, they make very nice kitchen cabinets and the finest floors, the finest doors all over the world. I sell them in Japan, in England too, in Pommyland, which is where I reckon you come from by the sound of you. And I sell them back in good old Oz too. That's home territory for me. That's a little clue for you, Year 5-6. Do you know what the country might be which has a nickname Oz? That home territory for me gives us the clue of where Mr. Anthony is from. But that's not the half of it. Thing is, I've got so many trees out there, I don't know what to do with them. And when I don't know what to do with them, do you know what I do? I'll tell you, sunshine, shall I? I'll burn them down, make a ruddy great bonfire of the forest, and then what have I got? Land, lots of it. And what do I do with the land? I'll plant more trees, thousands of them, millions of them. Not the big fellas. Nah, they take hundreds of years to grow. I want my money fast. So I grow palm trees to make palm oil. They grow fast, fast as grass. I can't grow enough of them. The whole world is screaming for palm oil. To put in their toothpaste, their lipstick, their margarine, cooking oil, peanut butter. You like peanut butter, monkey boy? He didn't wait for an answer. He was ranting now. His eyes blazing at me. You can imagine that, Year 5-6, his eyes are blazing, so he'll have wide eyes and he'd be staring over at Will. Palm oil? You like biscuits, monkey boy? Palm oil? You like chips? They cook them in palm oil. And it gets better too, sunshine. Heard of global warming, have you? Well, I like it. Yep, I like it a whole lot. You see, on account of all this global warming, they want to save the planet, don't they? So now they're after palm oil to run their cars instead of petrol and diesel. All I do, monkey boy, is provide what the world wants. And I'm just saving the planet. Oh yeah, saving the people too. I pay them, I feed them, I house them. They come from poor villages where there's no work. They cut down the trees for me, burn the forest, plant the palm trees. They look for the gold for me too, dig it out, and I sell it. Like I sell everything else. That's why I'm just about the richest man in Jakarta. I got 4 houses, 2 Ferraris, and a garden bigger than a flaming football pitch. Not bad, eh? And you know what money is, monkey boy? I'll tell you. Money is power. Lots of information just there, Year 5 and 6. So if you want to take a moment just to think about what have we found out about Mr. Anthony? What's his job? What does he sell? Is he rich? What does he own? How does that make him as a person just because he owns all of those things? How does it talk about his character? Now he was shaking his stick at me, a crazed look on his face and screaming at me. I could have you killed right now and no one would ever know. These people wouldn't say a dicky bird, not a word, because they know what would happen to them if they did. You see, I own them, body and soul, and they know it. They do what I say. If I told them to jump through hoops of fire, they'd do it. Suddenly he paused. Now, there's a thought, monkey boy, he said. He was coming down the veranda steps now. Then he was right up closer to me, calmer now, but still breathless from all his ranting. He was so close that I could see the spittle on his lips. If you can imagine that now, it would be as if Mr. Anthony was this close to Will. So close that you can see every detail of his face. What's he trying to do by doing that? Is there a word that you can think of that might explain what he's trying to do to Will? Talking of jumping through hoops of fire, I don't reckon I need to kill you. After all, monkey boy, aren't you the lucky one? No, I've suddenly had a much better idea. And the best kind of idea too. A money-making idea. I'll sell you. And I thought it just the right place for you. I know somewhere they'd pay good money for a monkey boy. No questions asked. There are circuses all over India where you could be quite a little star. I've sold orangutans to them before. I can see it now, up there in lights. Monkey boy, the only all singing, all dancing monkey boy in the whole wide world. Can you do a few tricks? Cartwheels, handstands? Can you jump through hoops of fire? No? Well, can you dance? Can you sing? Go on, give us a song, sunshine. Do a little dance for us. I said nothing. Mr. Anthony leaned forward and whispered in my ear, "You will dance, monkey boy. You will sing, or I will have those cutie little orangutans killed right now, right in front of your eyes. Don't think I won't. There's plenty more where they come from. I promise you." He stepped back. You hear me, monkey boy? Dance. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that this man meant every word he said, but I had to do what he said. I had no choice. So I closed my eyes and began to dance, shuffling awkwardly at first from foot to foot. Dance, you little bastard, dance, he yelled. I tried to let my body go looser so that I was swaying as well as shuffling, humming all the while now to the little orangutans, humming to help me dance. That's better, monkey boy. That's better. Give us a little turn. Mr. Anthony was laughing at me now, and when moments later he began to clap, the whole crowd joined in, cheering and whooping as I danced about, keeping my eyes closed tight to shout out the humiliation of it all. I just wanted to get it over with, but Mr. Anthony wasn't finished with me yet. He was shouting at me. Now I want you to sing, monkey boy. I sang the first song that came into my head, sang it out as loud as I could, like I always did with Dad. I sang it with my eyes open, glaring up at him, looking him full in the face, unflinching. It turned out to be just the right song to have chosen because it kept me brave and because I could sing it with real passion. And it was a song that transported me at once to another place, another time, so that I could become another person altogether, so that I could make believe I was not there, that it was not me that this was happening to. Blue is the colour, football is the game. We're all together and winning is our aim. Soon the whole crowd had fallen quiet. I could sense every one of them listening. This seemed to unnerve Mr. Anthony. He had suddenly had enough. He waved his stick to silence me. Sigh, he said, his smile thin-lipped and triumphant. So now you see how it is, monkey boy. You're just the same as them. They do what I say, you do what I say. You all jump through my hoops. It wasn't so bad, was it? I think you'll do very well in that circus in India. More to the point, you'll fetch me a mighty good price. Then he turned on his heel and walked back up the steps, wiping his feet on the tiger skin on the veranda. If he hadn't done that, and if he hadn't been so angered by it, I don't think I would have had the nerve to do it. I didn't think about it. I just began reciting the tiger poem at the top of my voice, very slowly, very deliberately, so that everyone there in the crowd could hear every word, so that those who could understand the words would understand, and those who couldn't would understand their meaning and my meaning from the tone of my voice. I was aiming every word at Mr. Anthony's back, and every word was an arrow of defiance. I had nothing to lose, and I wanted him to know just how much I despised him and everything he did. By the end of the first verse, Mr. Anthony had turned to face me. The whole camp, the forest itself, seemed still and silent. I went on, right through the poem, word perfect, my gaze on Mr. Anthony never wavering, until the last verse, when I looked away, because I felt the tears coming into my eyes then, and I did not want him to see them. I had eyes now only for the tiger. I spoke the last lines to him, and for him alone. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? When I had finished, the crowd stayed hushed. I saw that same flicker of uncertainty on Mr. Anthony's face. It was a victory of sorts. For me, for the little orangutans, for the tiger. And that is where we finish Running Wild for this week. Next week, we're going to start and we're going to be writing a story, and we're going to be using the next part of the story in Running Wild to help us with that. Now, what I want you to do is to have a little think to yourself, how are you going to use that information we've just read to help you to complete these challenges? If you have listened the whole way through and you haven't been stopping and coming back, then now is the time for you to answer these questions if you're completing challenge 1. You can create a mind map if you would like. You can even just type up the answer. So you might say, Mr. Anthony wears a white suit. He has venomous eyes. If you are deciding to do this on a piece of paper, then you just need to write the information down and take a picture and upload your information for feedback. If you've decided that you want to complete it on a Word document, then feel free to share the document with your teacher. And if you're completing challenge 2, remember you only need to write a very small, short paragraph. We're looking at more about the quality of the descriptive words that you can think of. If we look here, I'm using an adverb, creepily, wandered closer. The fact that we know that he smelled of cigar smoke, the way that he peered up. I've even used some of the words that we've heard about in the text, such as pommy. Really excited to look all of this reading you're going to do today, everybody. So have a great day and just try your best.